This is how it is today. This is how it is today on Pop Culture Minefield. Pop Culture Minefield.
Today on Pop Culture Minefield, we're going to be talking about a movie 40 years or more older. Came out in 1980, right? 1980, 81, what was
that? Where are we going to discuss Joker?
That was a joke.
And just like the movie Joker Folie à Deux, it was not funny. So we are going to be talking about this film today. It is still to this day a hotly discussed and debated film. We were even having kind of an argument before the show started. And I think it's good. It's healthy. I like that background, by the way, Martin. That's really cool.
Yeah. I'm gonna use that on my computer.
In fact, I like it so much that it is the pattern that is on my Kleenex. Yeah, see that? It's on my Kleenex.
Oh man, I have seen that.
I want to stay off Twitter today. Yeah, I think that is a cool pattern for a tie. In fact, it's kind of reminiscent of the pattern that you see on Deckard's tie in Blade Runner. But I wanted to point out several things today while we're talking. We're going to be talking about the rule of thirds, which Ridley, as a photographer, a lot of people don't know that he was a photographer professionally before he became a director. And he really loves doing photography and working with photography. He sets up his scenes. He's so meticulous in his setups. And that's what part of the argument we had before. Martin was saying it was happenstance due to the extensive shots for a moment to capture the right one. That the chair appearing and disappearing was just happenstance. And I'm like, no, Kubrick was too meticulous. That wouldn't have happened. And his production staff were better than that, too. He's not like Francis Ford Coppola. And as much as I love Coppola, man, that guy flies loose, loosey-goosey with everything he does. And you're going to see fuck-ups like that. Like I pointed out in Dracula, there are a couple of serious moments in that film where it's like, who the fuck was in charge of continuity on this? Because it was just bad. Whereas this one, it's done in a way that in one shot you're looking at Jack Torrance and then we cut back to it, and the chair is there, and then it's gone, then it's back again. And and this was originally thought to be something that might have been a continuity error, but later on, due to diligent research by Egger, that stuff was done on purpose. That he was constantly throwing these things for you to question what's real and what's not real. But there are some people out there who have come up with some wacky theories, like Room 237, that documentary. I don't know if you guys watched it. It's fucking ridiculous. Anybody who starts talking to me about the faking the moon landing and Stanley Kubrick, and that the rockets and all that shit was his nod to everybody who figured out that he had faked the moon landing, it's like, go fuck yourself. There's no question that that stuff was in there, but not for what you're thinking it's there for. But I did find it interesting that we would see the patterns on the rug change from angle to angle. And once again, this was done intentionally because you have to know the word like incumbent. Something is aimed towards the object at center of a scene, whereas it is the next shot, it's away from it. I was kind of hoping Six would join us because I would love to get her take on some of this stuff, her reaction to it. But before we even get into the film, I'm going to just go over some things because my buddy Paul over at Heavy Spoilers did 2 great videos. And he's talking about things that I've been talking about for years. And I'm older than him. So, you know, I've been involved with some of these conversations over the last 40 years. But it's so cool that he, with his channel, Heavy Spoilers, has put out 2 great videos on shit within this movie. And one of them, he talks about the symbolism within the film, which is, I'm going to show you the picture. This is the famous picture. And once again, this is the expertise of the photography department that worked for him, that took originally a photo that had this guy. That was the original photo, had that guy. And they very meticulously put Nicholson in there. I'll give you a better close-up of it here. And I look at it, and I'm a master user of Photoshop, and damn if I can figure out where the lines are on this. It's so well done. But what's so interesting about this is the pose. And I do believe the pose is something that he put in there for a reason. The original photo is very innocent, whereas this one has a pose in it that's very demonic, in that is the same pose that Baphomet is in.
Yeah, as above,
Satanism.
so below.
The only difference is the fingers are different. Whereas in Baphomet, it's 2 fingers towards heaven, 3 fingers towards hell. As I even got this graphic just to show you guys. As above, so below. And the Latin that's being used on the arms. It's the symbolism is clear, and there's so much symbolism in this film. But going on to something else I'd like to talk about is Kubrick's use of framing and the rule of thirds. And he puts everything at center. Even though Danny is off center, the frame is lined up center. Even the elevator scene, the bathtub scene.
It's fine too, because people usually associate this now with Wes Anderson.
Ager once again did the research and found out that Kubrick asked his and here's another horrifying use of rule of thirds.
Yep.
Can you explain what that term means?
In photography, you have your frame, okay? And it's divided into thirds and divided into thirds. And you have a third here, 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 and a third here. And you follow that rule in photography as to show the importance or significance of something. And in his filmmaking, what's most important isn't Danny Torrance here, but that fucking hallway and where he's going. The hallway and the elevators at the end of it. The hallway and the dead children littered to the end. It's and this scene, by the way, even though he's not in the shot. This is a scene where Torrance comes walking around the corner and he's mumbling to himself, angry over the way he's getting treated by his wife. Great use of thirds. And the other thing that he did intentionally in this film that is designed to put us off, because there are a lot of things great directors will do to throw the audience off. Like Hitchcock, one of the coolest things he ever did, the first use of overhead photography in a film was Dial M for Murder. And the murder takes place and we're watching from the ceiling fan type angle, the ceiling light, looking down on it. And it's designed specifically to throw the audience off, to do something like that. And Kubrick did that with his character, Jack Torrance, was constantly, intentionally, and it was driving him crazy. You know, there's a reason Nicholson never wanted to work with him again. It wasn't just the excessive shots that annoyed him. It was the overacting he was forced to do, because he would try to do a scene and Kubrick didn't want him to do it that way. He wanted him to really chew the scenery. And it made Nicholson very uncomfortable. And he's not fond of his performance in that film because Kubrick used every single shot that he hated. And Kubrick was looking for something else. And he also made Nicholson constantly, for just a microsecond, look at the camera.
It's a good way to unnerve the audience.
Scene. It is. He did it in this scene where he's in the walk-in and he's locked in there. Right. I couldn't get the timing on it perfect. For one single frame, he looks right at the camera. Now, this one I caught. And he does it throughout the movie. There's a scene when he's on the ground, he's had that nightmare. And she goes, "Where's Danny? What happened to Danny? Where's Danny at?" And he's confused and befuddled. And for a split second, while she's talking to him, his eyes lock on camera and then look away. And this is something that he told him to do throughout the film, that he wanted him to do. It was him looking at the audience. That was the whole thing. That you're looking at the audience. They are part of this. And you are aware of them. And that is unsettling to an audience. That he constantly kept breaking the fourth wall. This is another one. I really like the bathroom scene for the way he photographed it, with her behind that damn curtain.
Another thing with this film, all the sets are designed so that it's impossible for them to fit together, and it's impossible for them to fit into the exterior.
Exactly, because one of the first things you notice is when he gets there and goes into Ullman's office, there's an elevator there. There's a wall with an elevator. And then he walks past that down a hallway where the elevator is, behind it, but there's a window with daylight. What? Yeah, from going from carpet to hardwood floor. It was intentionally done to be unsettling. This movie, and I told Anima why her aversion is she doesn't like the psychological aspects of this, that kind of stuff freaks her out. So I don't know if I'll ever get her to watch this with me, because I told her, I said, this isn't a horror film. This is a film that makes you uneasy. It has elements of the supernatural, and including, we know that he has a teddy bear, Danny does, and then later on we see a teddy bear sexing up a party goer, and it's the first ghost that Wendy sees in the story.
Yep.
And there are those psychoanalyzing, and I can't remember, was Agar talked about this too, that
It's a match cut for earlier
it-
when
it's-
Danny's brushing his teeth and foaming them up.
Yep. And you'll also notice other odd things in those scenes, like the Disney characters are in different positions on the door, depending on the scene and what was important. And like Sleepy, it's what's insinuated is that there was more abuse than him breaking his arm, that there was sexual abuse.
Yeah,
which is why you see so many intimate scenes with him and Danny. He's not clearly not right in the head, and you can tell his son Danny is very uneasy. It's stuff that's inferred to, and that's what that whole the teddy bear blowing the guy, the party goer.
There's also Jack is reading a Playgirl, and one of the articles in the Playgirl is, why do parents sleep with their children? Like, why would you Playgirl in the first place?
Again, this is fucking Kubrick, man.
And this is also where I go, the conspiracy people are like not paying any attention to the things they should, because I didn't know about this.
The things that are there,
people looked.
The things that are there, and they're focusing on like room 237 and then the faked moon mission. It's like, okay, you can fuck off. Well, Stephen King absolutely did not like it because basically Kubrick kind of told him to go fuck himself. In fact, there is absolutely a shit on Stephen King later when there is a Volkswagen in an automobile accident and it's the same color as King's Volkswagen Beetle.
Did he have the accident by that point?
Nah, I think it was later. I think it was in the later 80s when he got hit. It seems like it was in 88, 89 when he got hit by that van. And but anyway, there's so many things. A lot of people don't know this shot right here in the film. That's a fucking miniature, by the way.
Yeah,
it's so well laid out.
As far as I can tell, the reason they shot it so many times is there's just this little thing that looks like a body popping out. It's super, super subtle. You have to like freeze and zoom in. So it's one of those things that your subconscious mind is supposed to not notice it, not your conscious, which fucks with you.
Yep. I'm sorry. I got to turn my fucking phone down. It pisses me off when it does this shit throughout the fucking day.
It's like
doesn't do it until I'm on a show.
I do admit I love was it Yelp reviews for the Overlook Hotel. Some of them are hilarious. Like I pressed to use the elevator and blood came out. Worst hotel ever.
Worst hotel ever. King's ego was bruised when I know, because look, I don't want to say that he's egocentristic or narcissistic, but haven't you ever noticed that every single one of his heroes is almost always a writer? Dun dun dun. He's so transparent. I think Robin Williams was considered for the role of Jack Torrance. Of course, the role went to Jack Nicholson. Shelley Duvall also worked with Robin Williams. And Popeye, as you guys already know. Was it this film? Which film was it where they misused Robin Williams? It was this film, wasn't it? To get Nicholson.
So they like liked him?
They had no intention of hiring Robin Williams. It was a bargaining tactic to get Nicholson to sign on.
Oh, so kind of like with Aliens? Like, Cameron let it slip that, we're going to just cast Arnold in the role instead. And then suddenly Sigourney's agents are suddenly a lot more friendly.
Yeah, it's tactics. But King was hit by the van in 1999, not 89, but 99. Thanks, Red Shirt. Why aren't you here?
Just when we lost the moon.
Where are you?
I don't know. I sent him an invite. He may be busy.
But
I'm mad at you, Red Shirt. You should be here.
But no, to go into what I think one of the messages of the movie is how fucked up the elites are, which is weird because that never comes up, and yet it's one of the things that's emphasized heavily. Especially they mentioned the jet sets, and there's pictures all over the
Okay,
hotel
89.
of all the guests, and a lot of them are like real celebrities of the jet set era, i.e., the people that carved this country up and caused a shit ton of bloodshed. There's people go like, oh, slaughter the Native Americans. That's part of what they did, but also shit like the creation of the Federal Reserve Act, because originally it was the silver room. And then they changed it to the gold.
Don't forget also that don't forget that in the film, all of the Native American stuff and the fact that the ball and so many things are mentioned as July 4th in the film, that this was not, it wasn't Kubrick trying to say that America is bad, because a lot of people have tried to interpret that way. No, what he was saying is every culture has its skeletons in its closet. There's always something out there that a country is afraid or embarrassed of being made public or talked about. And so that's the thing with the United States. And so there were two things that were involved there. The other thing was, twice in the film you see carts with luggage and luggage set aside separately that were part of a motif that Kubrick had been wanting to do a film about people being taken to concentration camp. He had been planning this for decades and it just never happened, but he ended up throwing twice in this film imagery that was reminiscent of the luggage set aside being left on the walkway as people were being forced onto the trains. And so he put that imagery in here too. And it's supposed to play on a subconscious level. I don't think it does. I think it doesn't work unless you know to make that connection, even on the subconscious level. But it's still something that he did put in there. It's one more motif put in here. There's another motif, which we just brought up, was American Indians. The Federal Reserve, July 4th being mentioned 2 or 3 times in the story. But then there's also, which I brought up earlier, is the motif of not religious, not Indian style. What's that called again? Reincarnation, but forced reincarnation through evil. That there is a cycle of evil that is so powerful, especially with a place like the Overlook, that seems to be manifested evil in itself. Which is how it appears haunted. It's not like it's haunted as it is. It seems to cling on to these things. These spirits are trapped. It's a form of a kind of hell, but not like above and below, but hell. Even though these are things, once again, you brought up before, Shinatsky, that he's kind of contradicting himself, because the fight that he had with Stephen King was over. He thought that ghosts were a representation of hope, that there's a life ever after. Whereas he says, I think of these as trapped entities, trapped spirits. And King is like, no, this, I'm dealing with issues of ghosts and hell. And Kubrick just says, I don't believe in hell. And that kind of shut the two of them talking down, because he was on a completely different level. But the problem is, he turns right around and still throws those into the film.
Yep.
Because hell is what you make of it. It could be here and now. There are those that believe, Gnostics believe, that this is all we get. Make the best of it while we're here. You can have it as heaven or you can have it as hell. Depends on how you make it. And of course, that falls under the auspices of Taoism, which is, the painting of the 3 wine tasters, which represents Buddha, Confucianism, and Taoism. And Buddhism is bitter. He makes the bitter expression. And Confucianism has a sour expression, whereas Lao Tse taught, don't fret over the experience, just appreciate the fact that you're having it and take what you get from it. Whereas his is a look of enlightenment when he's tasting the wine. Oh, that's pungent. That's prickly. Interesting. So,
yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know what to make of Kubrick sometimes. I just know that he had a really high IQ. And he was prone to overthinking things, which is why he made actors do scenes 142 times. And that's why Nicholson never wanted to work with him again. One of the reasons why Nicholson didn't want to work with him again was the excessive shots, and then also making him act in a way that felt unnatural to him. That was over exaggerated. And I saw somebody said, Nicholson's best performance. Don't ask Nicholson that. He appreciates it when people say that, but he does not feel that way at all. He was pissed that, Kubrick used every single scene that he hated. That he kept making him overact each time. And eventually that's the scenes that he would keep in the film. The scenes that were driving him up a wall. And he also didn't like the way he was treating Shelley. Now, there are those out there, and even I kind of fell under this umbrella for a bit, because I wondered, because she had suffered from mental issues for years. But the fact is what he did couldn't have sent her into a spiral. And her husband even defended Kubrick over that. But Kubrick felt responsible, and he's been, his family sent her money all the time to help her. But it wasn't over guilt. It's because they really cared about her.
Yeah, it's just one of those rumors that developed out of nowhere. It's kind of like Mozart and Sally.
It started on YouTube. YouTube is where it started. And people started spreading this thing and saying it. And you say something with enough conviction, people start believing you. And it doesn't necessarily make it true. In fact, that's not true. I really enjoyed Nicholson and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and The Last Detail. My God, The Last Detail. How many times did they say the fuck word in that? Like 60, 65, 67 times? It was an incredible number of times they said fuck in that movie. And
Google's talking.
And well, I don't mind it. But in the 70s, that was just unheard of. And what's funny is the previous year, they were trying to get the screenwriter, Robert Towne, to tone down the language in it. 20th Century Fox was. And then a year later, that kind of language is okay. 1 year. One freaking year. And fuck is okay. And so they made a movie 1 year later. And all those fucks were in there. 65 iterations of the fuck word. Anger Management is actually a pretty good film. I actually like that movie.
Yeah. Though to me, I think the film and the overall actual villain of the film are basically all the old dead elites from back in the day. Like, he's basically doing similar to what he does in 2001, which is saying F you to those at the top in power, because he knew enough about what they were actually up to.
Yeah.
Because he, dealings with Hollywood, and between Diddy and Epstein, we know a lot more about the type of stuff that actually is going on.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's horrifying. Simon, I absolutely agree with you. It's 1921. I know what you meant. The year, the July 4th was thrown in there on purpose for other reasons, but 21, yes, because that was around the time that it was being understood what happened to the Osage massacre.
Yeah. I forget when it was too, because the Federal Reserve was like 1913, and then there was one point where basically they forced everyone to give up their gold to them. I think it was around like 1921 or something like that, and that's why you have Fort Knox. They literally like forced people to give them their gold on like pennies on the dollar.
And by the way, guys, I want you to know, Simon O'Keefe doesn't think I know who he is, but I actually know who Simon O'Keefe is. He's a cinematographer. I actually I follow him on my personal account. Yeah, and I agree with you. But he pushed Nicholson so hard that by the end of the shoot, he never wanted to work with him ever again. And Kubrick did work with some actors. In fact, Joe Turkel, who's in the movie, he plays the bartender, the ghost. He's worked with him on 3 or 4 different films, going all the way back to The Killing. And he was in what was the one where the French soldiers are executed? What was that? I just forgot the name of that film.
Paths of Glory.
Paths of Glory. He's in that one, and he's in this one. Joe Turkel, who I knew personally, I knew Joe. In fact, we were the ones. Gary Willoughby and I were the ones who found him when IMDb was listing him as dead, and we're like, no, he's quite alive. And he had a resurgence by getting to go to conventions, and really nice guy. But again, I want to point out Simon O'Keefe, this guy right here, is a cinematographer, and I follow you, dude, so I know who you are. So
that's not ominous at all.
No, I really appreciate that he stopped in. I appreciate that that's really nice that he stopped by, throw down a little information.
Stalker Gerry, I know who you are.
I don't stalk people.
My own thought process for why the acting is the way it is that no one in this movie is acting normally because everyone is messed up. That's
Wendy is excessively victim. He is an excessive victim. Ooh, all of that stuff. The one thing Simon, you bet, brother.
Yeah.
I work in film and I work in comics, and as well as book publishing. I do book covers, movie posters, storyboards, production art, blah 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 blah. I've worked with some big names, Tom Hanks, and of course, Dale Dye is my normal boss from, all of the military movies that Spielberg and Tom Hanks have done, as well as Oliver Stone. So, but I follow other people, and Simon O'Keefe's a cool dude, man. And I like that fucking photo of you, man.
Well,
that's a cool photo.
Well, also
look at what's a picture messing up with you.
With the acting as well, and this is something I appreciate that they actually do in like England and Europe, is they're more okay with just things being surreal and being accepting of that. We're super obsessed with acting being realistic, even when we're in unrealistic environments. One of the things that drives me nuts with the Batman movie.
Okay, Simon asks a really good question here. So this is actually something I wanted to get into. I guess we're not doing a slideshow today.
Oh my. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, you forgot your fucking job. I know.
Yeah, just start.
Worst producer ever.
Fuck you. I
quit. Get back in here, Martin.
Start the show.
This is something that I agree with, and my buddy Paul from Heavy Spoilers talked about this too, is that, and it's something that King himself went into in the book. He shows the alcoholism with Jack Torrance, and then we see Danny Torrance as an adult being an alcoholic, and you find out why he drinks is to suppress or depress The Shining. And I believe it's the same thing with Jack, and that Jack also has The Shining, and that's why he does it. I think that's why he sees these ghosts in this place. I absolutely believe that. So I don't think Wendy has The Shining at all. I think that is purely father to son.
Do you think Halloran may be trapped in that same cycle? Because Halloran shines.
Now I'm going to tell you something. Sorry guys, cat just knocked everything over. You turd.
Real quick, Slasher Fred, for what you're talking about with all work and no play. If you're really paying attention and you freeze frame by one of them says, "All work and play make Jack a adult boy."
Typos happen.
Now there were odd spellings throughout that, and you could take that as typos. But again, I don't think they were typos. I think they were intentionally typed out that way by Kubrick, probably himself.
I'm just pointing out another abuse theory, like evidence. Like there's actual stuff here, and it's actually during a very important scene, but it's one of those things that you are not going to see that unless you're literally going frame by frame.
Bye, Bronson. Have a good day, you too.
Bye, Bronson. You have a good day, man.
Take care.
Yeah. And before he even starts, when he's being interviewed, he's got the play girl.
Oh, please let me do this.
Yep.
I always thought Jack was an alcoholic, and that's what I was saying is all the evidence points towards the fact, especially by the sequel book, that Danny's alcoholism isn't just so much genetic, but is a something that he learned from his dad to repress his own abilities, and that Jack was doing it for the same reason. And again, I want to point out, Jack saw the ghosts, just like Danny did.
Mm-hmm.
No, he's not, because Slasher Fred, he makes it clear in the bathroom scene that Torrance has always been the caretaker. He was sort of like a supplemental character that while they were waiting for the cycles, because these are cycles of violence.
Yes, I think
the house is forcing. They're taking turns, but Torrance has always been the caretaker. Yeah, and because you've got two different people. You got Delbert Grady and you've got Charles Grady, who have two different sets of children. Because Charles Grady, the one that Ullman here is describing to him, has an 8 and 10-year-old. Clearly not twins.
Yep.
So they're saying that Kubrick, in his own way, is saying that these people keep getting recycled. And that's the meaning of the photo at the end, that Jack's been there. He keeps getting recycled.
It's even more terrifying because think about, this is only the people that they do mention. Think about how many other people possibly have gone to here and just been murdered.
There's also something important here, that this hotel is not there for skiing and having fun. It's there for solitude.
Yep.
What a weird reason to have a resort.
And in the modern day, it was P. Diddy's personal paradise.
Oh,
P. Diddy is the caretaker now.
Yep. You have your baby oil, Jack Torrance.
And he's doing abuse of kids. We know now.
Yeah.
He's never going to see a moment of freedom ever again. He's never going to get out. He has, he is a horrible human being. I will never listen to that song again from Godzilla 97. Because that motherfucker. So Jack is fulfilling a duty of a position that has merely always existed. The names don't matter. Kubrick's nod at the Grady name, in my opinion, is just an abstract suggestion. I don't think it is. I think he's sort of like the Twain. He's that Jack cycles over periods, and in between we have the Grady character, and the Grady is not important. He is subservient to the Torrance character, his evil. Again, notice Sleepy here. He's not there later. And just all the weird things in this film.
Yeah.
And by the way, Simon, if you'd like to join us, man, you're welcome to join us.
Yeah.
Read that comment.
When the lube pours out. What's wrong with you, man?
Now, if Gerry, if this is jumping ahead and something that you want to cover later, then just stop me and we'll cover it later. Because this kind of goes hand in hand, I think. You have the deleted scene, no pun intended. I'm not 100% sure if it was ever completely shot. It is that ending scene where they're in a hospital and Ullman.
Yeah,
comes
we've
to
seen
visit
photos
them.
of
It's
it
kind
that
of implied
Kubrick
that
has
he,
ordered to keep that suppressed. He doesn't ever want to have it get out. All we have are photos. So yeah, that was a censure that Ullman was in on it.
Yeah, because do you have the scene where he says, "Our people in Denver"?
Yeah,
Refer Jack.
I know
Jones,
the scene. I don't have it as a clip, but I know the scene you're
Yeah.
talking about. Our people in Denver. My problem with him is his fixation with young people, especially like in It was creepy. Carrie too, like his fixation with a girl's first period. What a weird thing to fixate on. But anyway, I want to go back to this right here. This is important. Danny's shining was so strong that he made the hotel's evil physical, not just visions. I'm going to point out that I brought this up earlier because you weren't here on time, Red Shirt, to have heard me say that. But I absolutely agree with you. I believe that Danny is the first the house or the hotel has ever dealt with anybody as powerful as he is. And they want to feed on him. And that's why they're going after him.
The hotel was Palpatine, and then it was Anakin.
Anakin.
He said, "Oh my God, look at this kid!"
Again, George Lucas stealing from other people. Yeah, Red Rum. Man, I got to tell you, man, when that movie came out, I was 16. And all of us were talking about it at school. Red Rum. We were retarded.
Yeah, it's one of the things people spoil all the time. So by the time I did see this movie, it's like I wasn't shocked at all because they'd made fun of it so many times.
I have tried to figure out the significance of the cigarette smoking in this because it's one of the things she seems to do a lot of in the film.
I think it's to emphasize that that's like she's coping.
That's what it comes across as to me is like when she's talking about stuff that's stressful for her, she lights up.
Yeah, that's the way I always took it.
So you're like, don't make me kill you. I just really do think that in Kubrick's vision of this story in particular is that Danny is that what's that called? The unpredicted factor, that thing that
X factor
throws the hotel off, and causes it to go really overboard. To even a woman who doesn't have the shining sees ghosts. Finally, this evil spirits that are locked in this fucking place.
What accelerant? Like I'm trying to think of like what
it could be. Very well be. You could look at Danny is an accelerant because they know Torrance has it because he was born with it, but now they have a child with it too, and this child is like over the top. But Halloran has it. Now, there are certain guys out there. I've watched all the videos. I'm sure some of you guys have watched those videos too. Simon, I'm assuming you've watched them too, with the theories that Wendy is actually the abuser, which Egger did a really good job of just debunking that as a theory. It's a terrible theory. Interesting, but terrible. It's like the whole 237 theory and the moon landing thing. It's just fucking wasted energy. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, no.
I do want to point out that Kubrick doesn't travel outside of England, and we just got a good exterior shot. All of the exterior shots of the actual hotel were done by the second unit team. Because Kubrick wouldn't leave England. He developed a fear of flying. I think just a fear of travel. And so every movie he has made since the 50s has been shot in England since he relocated there. That includes Full Metal Jacket, a Vietnam War film. He had trees flown in and red soil. Crazy shit. But I understand phobias, man. But I want to point out that they built a scale version of that hotel's facade, except for one section of it, which is clearly missing. And I've often wondered if that too was done on purpose to throw off the viewer, because your mind picks up shit like that. That the building we see establishing shots of the building, but then when we cut to the ones that were shot in England of the exterior, it's different. The opening door is completely different. The main door, the main entrance. In the movie, Christine, we see similarities to the Shining, where we see a nerdy teen becoming a confident man obsessed with his vehicle, just like Jack becomes obsessed with the hotel. Yeah. Yeah, she was losing her hair, all kinds of stuff, because of the stress she was under making this film.
Yep.
And it's been said that he was having other members of the crew and cast ostracize her to help get her into the right frame of mind. Which I look at that and it's like, look, man, directors back then did some crazy shit. I mean, fucking directors would fire guns to scare his actors.
Smack
or
the
slap them.
actors.
Yeah, slap them.
Yeah, though.
Knock the shit out of them.
I mean, did Kubrick have a history of doing that? He had a history of like doing a lot of takes and
Excessive. He pissed a lot of actors. Olivier fucking hated him. Just yeah. Yeah, don't sympathize with. I clicked on it. You clicked on it. So click on it again. Get it back up there. You hear him say his daughter in the daughter's documentary, don't sympathize with Shelley. He didn't want him to sympathize or empathize. Do not connect with her is what he's telling people on the crew. And there you go. There's a good word, red shirt. Again, you're not here for some reason. I don't know. Danny is a catalyst.
Yeah.
Hey, we're being rated. Guess by
Nice.
who?
Tom?
Mephisto?
Exactly.
Okay. It's 237 Slasher Fred, and I've seen it, and I like part of it, but the dude, the conspiratorial dude, and it's not like I don't believe in conspiracies, because I know they exist, but that one is just so fucking goofy. I just can't even pay attention to that cocksucker. Fuck that guy. But I did enjoy a good portion of that documentary, and I think it's available on YouTube. Free. Yeah, there it is. Meth Raid.
Meth, I sent you an invite. Did you have any time? You know you're welcome.
So I do want to point it out, 2 to 3 times in the film, they walk by the photo that you see at the end.
Yep. It's priming you for the reveal.
And so this is it. This is the first ghosts we get to see as the twins standing at the doorway, looking at Danny. Come play with us, Danny. In real life, I heard they were really sweet kids, but I wouldn't want to be around them. Jesus Christ, those kids are scary.
Yeah. No, he had a great time filming this movie. The person that played Danny, he still looks fondly on it because he was just a kid having fun. In fact, I think it was the ball throwing, I think, came from him.
What's this? Hey, wait a minute. What's Slasher Fred talking about?
Let me bring it up.
Same year that the original It premiered on TV, John Ritter was in Problem Child, and that movie has a spoof of The Shining. That's interesting. I don't remember. I mean, I did like that movie, Problem Child. I thought it was funny, but it's been a long time since I've seen it. Open the pod bay door, Danny.
I'm sorry, I can't do that.
Oh my god! Imagine using an AI tool and re-record all the house voices, the voice of Danny.
God. I'm not looking forward to people doing the AI remake of The Shining. You know they'll get around to it eventually. They haven't done it already.
Well, they kind of did the sequel, and I think that's as close as they'll probably get to it. This is the fake hotel that was built over in England, and that's the fake topiary.
That again, you cannot see in the previous exterior shot, even though you should.
Yeah.
Yep.
Once again, and I know our friend that's watching us right now, Simon, knows the rule of thirds. That Kubrick is a master of the rule of thirds. That he would make the focal point, even though they're at the center of the screen, the focal point is the background.
Yes.
All the lines are there to draw your attention to a specific place. Now, I do want to point out too that it isn't happenstance that the all the ghosts that Jack Torrance see are from the 20s.
Oh yes, because that was his last run.
That was his last run before this one. That's right.
Hey,
I can't stay for long. I need to get to bed somehow. But yeah, I couldn't pass a little bit, talking about a movie that I originally disliked and now I kind of respect. Mostly I respect the director.
I don't know what to say because like even Blade Runner, I didn't like the first time I saw it. And then the second time I saw it, I was born again. And this film, I saw the first time and it didn't have the impact on me the way the second time I saw it. The second time I saw this, I had a completely different reaction to this film.
Yeah, that's something that I wanted to bring up, is that there were these movies that seemed to come out at the time, and I'm talking especially of Kubrick and of Ridley Scott, because I'm glad you brought up Blade Runner, and is that there are these movies that seem to hold you at arm's length when you first watch them. There's kind of a coldness to them.
And there's also a connection with Blade Runner. You know that, right, with this film? There is an actual connection.
You think you could put the ending of Blade Runner and just have it transition into this?
Yeah. Because the footage at the end of the theatrical release of Blade Runner was given to Ridley and his producer because he personally asked for unused, and that was the rule, is they could not use any footage that was used within the film. That it could only be footage that was not used in The Shining. So all that footage at the end of the theatrical release of Blade Runner is from The Shining.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Look at Six trying to gold you.
Is garbage
trash?
I've had so many people tell me they hate Blade Runner, and I'm like, why are you telling me that? Because all that means is we're not going to have a conversation about it. I know she's fucking around.
Yes.
I've had people actually genuinely walk up, I fucking hate Blade Runner, man. It's a stupid movie. I'm like, it's sort of like the spider I told you about. I'm in a room with 1,200 square feet, and the only spot in that room that was a danger to the fucking spider was the spot he decided to fall. You chose all that footage in this room, and you chose to fall on me, the thing that's going to kill you.
So Danny is a special model of replicant, the Shining model.
Yeah, he's the Shining model. You can tell he's got the Shining because his eyes reflect, just like Roy Batty and Chris and all of them.
I think it was a year or two, I don't even remember, on Trashcast, Yellow Flash, who hasn't seen Blade Runner. It's like, I finally saw Blade Runner. and I don't like it. I think it was a stupid movie. And Tom was on the show, and Tom was like, "How the fuck?" You know, Tom, he gets riled up. How the fuck do you think that movie sucked? They went at each other for 15 minutes, and I was laughing my ass off. Because
I love Tom so much, man. He kills me.
If you just go into Blade Runner and you expect a specific type of movie, you'll be sorely disappointed. Really. So what you said, like not liking it the very first time, I've seen Blade Runner when I was, I think, 11. Ain't no way I enjoyed it as much as I did when I was 25 when I saw it again.
Right.
More shining than shining is our motto.
Yeah.
And you know what would have been funny, even though just as an well, it was done before they made Blade Runners. If Turkel had said something like that, you know, getting you drunk is our motto.
Do you like our owl?
I think that the Shiny TV miniseries remake follows. Well, of course it is. It was produced, and written by King himself.
It was produced out of spite,
which will explains exactly why I don't like it. Because I don't like the miniseries. It was not scary. It was silly. You expect what's her name, Rebecca De Mornay, to survive because she's not terrified like she should be. I just thought the miniseries was a waste.
I like the fact that it's in more faithful to the book.
Oh, it is, because Stephen King wrote it. I mean, are you want to say he didn't just write the book? He wrote the screenplay for the miniseries.
Yeah,
he was
I am not debating that. I'm just saying that I like.
There's a reason, though, and that's why. But this is a character that I had a problem with is Halloran, because I couldn't understand structurally why you would have him go through everything he goes through to only die getting there. Now, I know as a storyteller, a writer myself, that what's important is he got the fucking Hobie Cat there so they could escape. But it just seemed like such a waste of a character that we don't get any real resolve with him. He just dies so quickly, walks into the hotel and gets an axe to the chest. It's the one thing that's always about what, Mephisto? What do you think of that?
He was the sacrificial lamb from the get-go. There are certain points where they walk through that kitchen.
I'm sorry, Danny is next at 7.
Well, yeah.
There are
Danny only
points,
does eyes.
There are certain points where he talks to Danny and he talks to the mom, and he kind of is telling them that they should be afraid of the place, but not really, because he knows, he kind of knows what's going on, but doesn't know what's going on. But he's the sacrificial lamb. He goes into that axe instead of Danny.
And that's a good point. So there you go. I like that explanation. This is great right here. So when he's talking to him at the table, Danny should respond, is this a test whether I'm a replicant or lesbian? Mr. Halloran.
You're tricycling down a long hallway.
There has been history, or I should say, to quote another film, because I like this line, history is replete with authors being brought in to adapt their books into a screenplay, having to be fired later to have another writer brought in for a reason, because their ego is too big for the project, and they're focusing on all the shit they love and not what's going to keep the audience watching. And that's happened in the history of film all the fucking time.
I was put with his character as well. It was to give you a sense of hope, and then immediately is dashed, and that's it. That's generally one of the actual horrifying moments of the movie is when he dies.
Oh, exactly. And by the way, Slasher Fred, that is exactly what I'm talking about. Stephen King is such a narcissist and egocentric person that he constantly romances the stone by putting himself into his stories. The central character, Ben Meir in Salem's Lot, is so often the main character is a writer. Same Jack Torrance. 1408 is another one. And I'm not going to say he is. I'm just going to tell you that I think he has a very weird predilection with juvenile things. Their sexual maturity and stuff is just weird. I think it's weird. I don't want to go right out and be that guy like you just did in the chat, because I won't do that. But I will say that I've never liked that. I thought it was weird. And I've always appreciated that every single adaptation, well, 2 adaptations of it, both times removed that shit. And they did it for a fucking reason, because that's fucking weird.
No, I wonder if anyone ever went to a convention and then when it was one of those QAs, they just walked up and start reading the explicit details from that chapter straight to his face in front of everyone.
Yeah, that would just be so cringy, right? I remember reading it back in the 80s, and my little boy was 6 at the time when I read that book, And, oh my God, I was just so disturbed by that. Like, why would you write that? He's such a weird fucking dude. I love the TV version. I agree with you, 6. It is my preferred version, but I also really did enjoy the first It film. The second one had problems, and the reason it had a problem is because that should have all been one movie. And they realized they fucked up. What's that?
The miniseries?
No, the movies.
It.
The It movies.
We're talking about It.
Yeah, I was making a reference to It, and she's talking about the TV version, because the TV version of It is better than the Machietti's.
Yeah, the TV version is the mini series. It's longer than a movie, and
they turned it into a movie. They edited it.
Yeah, I know, but
it's the same thing with Salem's Lot.
What they did was in the mini series, it's one part is the kids part, and the second part is the adult part, which is sort of like correctly done. I would say
in the book and in the mini series, they still go back a little bit. They go back and forth.
Yeah, I know. I actually, no, never mind. Long story.
Yeah, shut up, Mephisto.
But I had to submit a book report for high school, right. And I chose It, and my teacher did not believe me that I've actually read the book. And I told her, the book is different from the miniseries, right?
Oh, and did she get caught?
And she's like, that's why I thought you didn't read the book. It's like, you want me to quote you stuff from the book that is not in the miniseries? Because I can. And she still didn't believe me.
She still didn't believe you.
I got an A.
I think one of the funniest things, of course you got an A. I think one of the funniest things in that book was making this ancient god fucking Gamera. Just fucking Gamera. Yeah. Gamera versus another giant creature, a spider. So I'm like, oh, come on, man. Doing my Biden
Gerry,
impression now. Come on, man.
Well, he is filled with turtle meat, so.
So Gerry, what's your opinion on the long-held debate on if Danny is a replicant or not?
Oh no, we'll be here for 3 hours.
Yeah, you got to. First of all, you got to tackle him and make him answer some questions like, if you saw a tortoise in the desert, what's a tortoise? Immediately, I think he's a replicant. I like the look. I enjoyed the Dr. Sleep movie, My problem is what's his name? The guy who wrote and directed it.
Flanagan? Was it
Flanagan.
Mike Flanagan?
Really thinks way too much of himself. I really, you can see it in everything he does that he really, really thinks a lot of himself. And it bugs me because it comes through in his writing and his direction. But I actually enjoyed Dr. Sleep. And
Yeah,
what I
so did
enjoyed, do you know what I enjoyed the most about it, though? I'm going to tell you what I enjoyed the most, is that he made Stephen King fucking agree to make a sequel to The Shining movie and not his Shining. The pile of shit that he had to eat just tickled me to no end. That Stephen King.
My God, the pettiness.
A lot of this, again, you'll see moments in here again where while he's talking, he'll just make that micro movement of his eye to the camera and then back. And this is all done intentionally. No accidents in this film. Kubrick is one of those guys that rarely makes mistakes. And one of the few I caught, and it's there, is in what you would call the movie Full Metal Jacket, where you can actually see the crew in a shot. And I'm like, it's so quick you almost don't notice it. It's when they're moving from the canal across that debris field over into the buildings for the sniper scene.
Oh, by the way, here's the dialogue that goes with your theory. It felt like I've always been here. I felt comfortable the second I got in here.
Shut up, Shanatsky. I don't know what you're talking about now.
No, your theory. What he was just talking about.
I was talking about what? I was fucking with Mephisto and he didn't even hear me.
I heard you.
I wrote my report on it. And I'm like, you wrote a report on what?
On it.
On
what
it?
Is it?
Yeah. It what?
It's it.
Whole who's on first. It's
who's
our
on first
version, Mephisto and Gerry's version of who's on first. There you go. I always liked the idea of this because this is not from the book. In the book, it was topiary, which I'm going to tell you right now. I said it yesterday. I'm going to say it again. I thought the whole topiary thing was fucking goofy. I mean, it was completely, I refer to it as Minnie Mouse. Why Minnie Mouse? Because it's fucking goofy.
He was on coke.
Yeah, I know.
So,
Dude,
well, yeah. So Sander,
realize the writing process of the man, the myth, the legend. He is like, I have a deadline. I need to write something. Cannot write. 3 days done.
Yeah.
Oh my God. 6 says she can't understand anything you're saying because she thinks I might be drunk.
No, she just got into Stephen King's cocaine stash.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, is that what it is? So I like this shot a lot, by the way. This is one of my favorite transitional shots where we're looking at him looking over the topiary like, a Greek god, and it transitions as it looks overhead to them actually in the topiary. And yeah. I fucking love that shot.
Cut. I love that.
It is one of my favorite shots in the film is this scene right here.
I also feel like the film Hereditary was inspired by this shot because that's basically the very similar idea.
I don't know. I've never watched it. Wasn't interested in it.
In what?
By the way, in the opening scene, he says 3 years he's been sober. And then when he has a drink in his hand with the ghost, he says, here's the 5 miserable months. And I'm like, oh my fucking God, he was lying. How typical of an addict to lie.
Don't you understand? I haven't had a drink in 3 years. Maybe it was 3 months.
You sound more like Christopher.
Kubrick didn't like Jack in this movie.
What's that?
You know, Kubrick did not like Jack be Jack in this movie. He did not let him do the new Jack stuff that he does all the time.
Okay, yours is Christopher Walken
I'm
meets
not good.
Christopher
I'm
Lloyd
not good at
meets Nicolas Cage. That's what
Maybe.
you're doing right now. It's fucking awesome. It's a whole new character, dude.
I'm not good in impressions. I like the Jack mannerisms that he does. I love Jack Nicholson, but
I've
in
been
this
doing his
movie-
voice for decades because
in this
I discovered
movie,
I could do his voice.
in this movie, he does not do the regular Jack mannerisms. There are a few points here and there. It's like, here's Johnny is not Jack, but he incorporated his here's Johnny into his Jack-isms.
Which is even funnier because he is Jack in this movie.
Yeah, but not really.
Ironically, Sander and everybody that's been making the great references to Blade Runner in this film, I've been enjoying the crap out of these. It does deal with memories. Are they my memories or are they somebody else's memories? That's Blade Runner, and that's also this.
If Jack Torrance is a replicant, does that make Danny a replicant human hybrid?
And John Huston worked with Nicholson.
Yep.
In more than one way.
I love the story behind that scene because he was hanging out with what's his name?
Pollock.
Kevin Pollock. And he says, you want to know what was it? He says, you want to know what's the apex moment of discomfort or something like that? He says, I'm sitting there with John Huston and we're rehearsing a scene where I talk about how he asked me if I'm banging his daughter. And then I realize as his daughter comes walking up, Angelica, that I'm actually banging his daughter.
And he doesn't know. And
he doesn't
tells
know.
Me to, I'll kill her because he's a god to me.
But my favorite Jack Nicholson line of all time is that scene in As Good as It Gets, where she comes to the door, Senor, would you go into his apartment and walk the dog in there? And when you go into his apartment, will you open up the curtains so that he can look out onto the world and know that it's a good place that God has made? And he looks at her and he says, where did they teach people like you to talk like that? And some Panama sailor want a hump bar? Or is this last shot at the boss's whiskey? Go sell crazy somewhere else. We're all stocked up here. Greatest fucking bit of dialogue I've ever heard in my life.
It's in my top 20 of all time.
Ditto. I fucking love that movie.
There are Jews at my table.
Oh my God. And I was friends with Lisa Edelstein. And when she made that movie, I knew her. and it was so fucking funny, you know. And he says that line. And then he says the next great line where he's like pacing back and forth and they're talking in metaphor. And he says, people who talk in metaphor should shampoo my crotch.
We have a new viewer, Benny Ford.
I know that name though. Benny is probably on one of the other channels I've seen the name.
He's the husband of Betty Ford.
Not Gerald Ford.
Oh my.
Oh.
Now I have two of those.
Now I'm feeling pain in my soul. Thank you.
What soul? You don't have one of those.
Again, that was the
Exactly. This is
impossible
what
room.
hurts me.
She was just in the impossible room because she's in a room that has a window with daylight coming through it. But this is right next to the elevators. The elevators is where that window should be.
Yeah, but the rooms and doors are always changing.
That's the thing they're saying is
In the
that
hotel.
Kubrick's design is intentionally made to not make sense.
Yeah, because you
Like,
even-
how did Danny get upstairs on his
the,
bike?
the issue is it's not that how Danny got upstairs. He could have been driving on the first floor and suddenly be upstairs, because even in the tour with Halloran, the doors keep changing. They go into one freezer and step out of a different freezer.
Oh, that's another thing. I forgot
Around the
about that.
freezer, and
Yes,
suddenly there's an office where there was no office there before.
right. Made no sense.
Yes,
And this is
it
all
was
on purpose.
intentional.
There's nothing accidental here.
No. It was all intentional because it seems like there's a continuity error, but the continuity error was inherent. It was deliberately disorienting because Kubrick was hinting on the fact that the entire hotel is trying to keep people in. That's why there's a topiary thing there, because the maze is supposed to keep people in, not stepping out. That entire
Exactly.
maze wants you to go to the center and not go out.
And here's the scariest part of this. Vegas took a lead from that and designed their hotels that way with the casinos inside. Where
And
you
they
don't know where the
mention it
fuck
in-
you're at.
And they mention it in Ocean's 11.
Yeah. Which, you know what? I actually like that film. People go,
I
oh,
do.
I'll
I
prefer
love
the
it too.
Sinatra one. I'm like, look, I love the Sinatra film. But there's an actual story in the newer film. An actual, like, a story arc.
Because
Whereas the first one was just them fucking around.
Film with because the Sinatra Ocean's 11 is Sinatra just indulging on the fact that his mafia buddies can pay for his vanity project and launder the money. And in Ocean's 11, say what you want about George Clooney, the person. George Clooney does a really good job of.
Oh, I
being
love the movies. I don't like him as a person at all, but I love the movie.
George Clooney style.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm wanting to see the new movie Wolf. I still haven't seen it yet.
I've seen it.
Is it good?
It has pace issues. I'll tell you this. Clooney and Pitt are really good with each other. The problem with the movie is a lot due to pace. How
you think it's the editing?
How scenes move from one scene to the next scene to the next scene. There's a good story in there. The problem is it's not moving fast enough.
Do you think the director edited it and not an editor?
I'm not sure what happened there.
Because that tends to happen when directors edit their own stuff.
To be perfectly honest, there's enough story in there for an hour and 10 minutes. Maybe that's why. Every scene takes far too long to move into the next bit and the next set piece and the next set piece. And it's not
too many movies are like that these days.
Let's just say the trailer has a lot, like it sells you one thing that you do not get in the movie, and that's a shame. But that always happens with trailers. It's worth a watch. I'll say that because the chemistry between Clooney and Pitt really helps the movie. Really helps the movie. If it wasn't Clooney and Pitt, it would have been a terrible movie.
That's interesting. It's the casting that made it work.
Yeah.
Okay, I paused on this scene for a reason, shot, because this is another impossible moment. There's no power cord.
Yep, there's no cord.
Yep.
And it's just so weird. You know, how is that TV on? Oh,
Yeah.
take care, Simon. Good seeing you. Thanks for joining, man. It was fun. I wish you could have been on the show with us, dude.
Well, he's interested
talking
in
to other
doing Eyes Wide Shut with us.
All right. I'll message you. Okay. I'll go to your YouTube page and look for how to message you, and I'll message you after the show today. So, there's Denny. Now, this is an interesting scene because he's scared to approach his dad.
Yeah.
There's this apprehension. It's palpable. And I think it's pretty obvious throughout the film that Jack abused him.
Yeah, I think we mentioned it when we covered it, which this was one of the more disturbing scenes. Well, I wouldn't let a kid watch this movie, but if you happen to watch this as like 11, 12, 13 years old, you'll get the vibe, but you wouldn't know why you don't like this scene. and as an adult, you're like,
Yeah.
yes, there are hints that Danny is really abused, not necessarily physically. Okay. It could be verbally or behavior
I always
wise.
suspected it's sexual. I believe that he's been abused that way.
There are
Uh,
sexual overtones later on with the butler and the bear kind of a thing.
Yep.
That's maybe why you think that way. You don't know.
This is a triangulation shot, by the way, that I really like. I really I gotta keep going because I keep pausing in order to point things out, and it slows the show down. So I want to point out that we have this great triangulation shot here of him, his reflection, and Danny, and it's just the symmetry of this is just really well done. This is one of the other reasons I fucking love Kubrick is the way he shoots a scene. And don't get me wrong, even Kubrick can be overly indulgent. His film Barry Lyndon is just such an overly indulgent film, beautifully shot, but it's a boring story. It's not interesting. Barry Lyndon himself is not an interesting character. He lives in an interesting time. And but this scene, the way he's sitting there holding him, all of this just, it's so discomforting.
Oh, and one thing I love about that shot is Jack and Danny, the center ones are in the rule of third, and then the last one is like off the rule of third. So there's Jack, and then there's the part of him that's off. It's great.
The off-centered version where you see his expression, his face. What's this? I just missed something. Hold on. The old days, they used to show some very classic horror teaser trailers that were not in the actual movies, like a teaser for Jack in the I know what you're saying, Slasher Fred, where they show clips that aren't in the movies. I think one of my favorites of that is Steve Martin and Michael Caine in Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, because there's a scene where he pushes a lady off a pier into the ocean that's not in the movie, but it's funny as fuck in the trailer.
The trailer that's most bullshit with that is Highlander Endgame. There's literal things that would look awesome if they happen in the movie. Never do. Bad guy gets cut in half, splits into two. Never happens in the movie.
Well, yeah, and just to let you know, Sander, you get a director like Ridley Scott, who to me is more of a cinematographer than he is a director. His films are really only good when he starts out with a really good script. But you turn right around and you see his movie, The Duelists, and he did with almost no budget a better job than what Kubrick did with Barry Lyndon. And he told a better story, and it's just as beautiful to watch. The visuals in it, a lot of it serendipitous. You know, it just happened. The lighting was just right that day, natural lighting. Whereas with Barry Lyndon, he tried to simulate natural lighting. Whereas Ridley used natural lighting. He shot with like 400 speed, I think, to get some of those fucking shots he did. But I consider The Duelist the superior film of the two, both taking place during that same era. And it's a better story, and I think it's just as beautifully shot. Now, there are those who debate that this is not Jack Torrance, but the real Jack Torrance, but the Jack Torrance in the book. And I don't get it. Because there are those who say that the scene where they're walking through the hotel with the first tour, there's a guy wearing his exact same outfit, cleaning a cabinet in the background. And he turns and looks at him. There you go. This is a shot where he looks at the camera again, right there.
Yeah, but you have to remember, some of these scenes they have done 100, 150 times. The Halloran scene, I think I had the number written down. It's 156 156 takes on the Halloran.
Which scene with him?
With
At
Danny.
the table?
Yeah.
Yeah, at
Just
the table.
that scene with Danny was 156. And he brutalized Shelley Duvall. And after this movie, she was never the same again. Like, she had a few projects, she did some stuff, but she was never the same.
She became more of a producer.
Yeah. She was
'Cause
never.
she created one of the most popular children's series on commercial television, which was Fairy Tale Theater, which is just great.
You think that the multiple take was in part because you said, earlier he didn't let Jack be Jack. It was maybe to get Jack to drop his Jackisms and just be more how he really is.
His theory is that it's not just him that shares this theory, that what they do is they get the actor to do it numerous times in order for them to stop acting and start being. And once they start being the character, you get a what they believe to be a better performance. I don't really agree with that at all. I've seen some great performances that were right from the get-go, and the excessive shots were there because really it's the vanity of the director. Is what it falls down to, and it's led to tragedy in films. Flight of the Phoenix. They had it right the first time with the plane going over the dune. Got to shoot it again. Fucking pilot dies, gets killed.
Yeah.
And then they use the first shot.
All right, guys, I need to go to sleep. So I'm going to head off. I know the movie begins to be more fun from this point on, or at least more crazy, which is always great.
It builds up.
Yeah. But I'm going to have to love you and leave you. So have a good night.
Too,
enjoy
brother.
the movie.
Take it easy.
Goodbye, everybody in the chat.
Stay safe.
We'll see you.
Take care.
I will.
Please.
Peace. Big Al is here, by the way. I paused again because this is a breaking the fourth wall moment, but he's also actually looking at Lloyd, the bartender.
Yeah.
See, he's happy. How could be abusing his kid? He's so happy here.
Happy people don't abuse people.
Well, some people are happy just when they are abusing people.
Now I'm going to tell you a little story about Joe Turkel here real quick, because I've met him, I knew him. And when I met him, I didn't do this intentionally. It's just, I don't know why it happened. But I asked him, I said, what do you prefer to be called? Joseph, Joe, Mr. Turkel? And he says, Mr. Turkel. And I began calling him Joe. I wasn't trying to be a dick. I just sometimes come off being a dick because I forget. I forgot to call him Mr. Turkel. I called him Joe. But he was a really nice guy. I did like him. Although he gave the vibe of an old guy walking around with a grocery cart sometimes. And I'm not the only person who got that vibe off him. And by the way, this is the role that made them want him as the Joker. And again,
Jack?
as the Joker, over the top performance.
Put a little alcohol in that face.
And then Gerry
And that's
takes
where
a
you
swift.
catch him in the lie.
Yeah.
Because he goes, 5 miserable months of sobriety. And I'm like, dude, you told somebody you were 3 years dry. You lying sack of shit. Women. That's where you need Flounder's line from Animal House. Women, you can't live with them. You can't live without them. All right, John, have a good day. Thanks for dropping in, man.
Take care.
So I wanted to show you, by the way, while we're here, just real quick, share screen. I told you that I've been subbed to him, and I just opened it up to show you that I've been subbed to O'Keefe for a while, and I'm like going, I know that name. I went, oh, I know who that is. There he is. That's my personal account. I just subbed to him today while he was in here with our account. Yeah, I would not mind doing a show with him. I like his videos. Here, I'm going to share with you guys. And Martin, you can share this with everyone else if you want to. His director's reel. I'll put it in the private chat.
Got it.
I know whenever I see the name O'Keefe, I think of Miles O'Keefe. And the minute I think of Miles O'Keefe, I think of the line from Cave Dwellers on MST3K. But at the beginning, it says Miles O'Keefe, and one of the androids or robots says, how much O'Keefe, how much Keefe is in this movie? And the other one says, Miles O'Keefe.
Oh my god.
That hurts.
I laughed so hard at that joke. It was so bad, but so fucking funny. Yeah, him in his like he's a player. Do you see the artwork on his walls, man? This guy's a player.
Yeah.
But the intensity of this moment, him staring off, connected to Danny, because Danny's in a panic.
It just has that look of, oh shit, I made a huge mistake. I shouldn't have left him at the murder house. Oh God, I left him at the murder house.
Yeah. You're muted.
Who is?
Or I am. Sorry.
Oh.
I'm on the wrong damn screen. I'm on the delay, guys. I'm sorry. You sound like you're muted there for a second. All right.
There it is. Again, the framing. I love these shots. She's so gorgeous coming out, you know, when Jack's in there looking. And then she
yes, Monkey Jeebus.
Yeah. What about Monkey Jeebus?
Where's Monkey
That's
Jeebus?
the face.
Oh, right.
Oh, for the boobs.
He likes Monkey Jeebus. You can see it in his face.
Haven was actually pretty good. I did like that show. I actually liked the show that was based on his universes, which was when it was on Hulu.
Castle Rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to see
That was
that.
a pretty good show. 2 seasons. Good. I don't know what they canceled it or what happened, but oh my God, that's a lot of Monkey Jeebus there.
Yeah, this scene is why you don't let kids watch the movie.
Technically, I was underage when I saw this. I was 16 when I saw this. But my dad would take me to R-rated movies because I was pretty mature. I understood things. He looks in the reflection. Man, she's got an ugly Monkey Jeebus.
I didn't know you were an Asian man.
Yeah, why didn't you rotate his head to match up to the Nicholson boobs? That'd have been funny. But Haven was a good show. I didn't watch past the first season. I don't know how many seasons it lasted, but I liked that first season. I didn't have Sci-Fi Channel after that, and so I just didn't get to watch those. If you need assistance, please call the operator. Thank you.
Yeah, I looked it up. The second season of Castle Rock was in 2019, so I very seriously doubt if it's going to come back after that period of time.
Yeah.
But Twin Peaks
It's too
came
bad
back
because I
after
thought they were
25
going
years,
somewhere.
so, yeah.
I really liked where they were going with it. I thought it was interesting.
Hmm.
It didn't have to go the directions of the books.
Oftentimes, most things that are based on a book don't. I mean, Dexter's a good example. They adapted the first book, then went their own direction.
The books aren't. They're not based on anything. What they did is they pulled characters and locations from the books and used them in there, showing the connections. And because, like, you meet what's her name from Misery when she was younger. That's exactly what it was. The second season was a prequel to Misery, and I actually enjoyed the crap out of it. She was fucked up. There's seriously, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just keep any sharp objects away from her, and you'll be fine.
Or sledgehammers.
That's in the movie. She hacks it off in the book.
Yeah.
Now this is where he makes it all about himself. You're just trying to sabotage everything. And by the way, right before he goes to that door, is the other time, in a rage, he looks right at the camera to his left and then turns the corner. I'm like, man, they really timed those eye connections down.
It's also interesting that these long shots with him, he's running towards the camera. Danny's moving the opposite way during all of his.
Yeah. Again, elevators facing a wall that you see those same type elevators elsewhere at the end of a hallway, facing up the hallway. It's just weird. All the elevators. He doesn't know that this lady's already in a crisis. And he's like, please, don't hog the line. Lloyd, keep them coming. Now, of course, this is the Delbert scene, which, again, I want to point out, there's two different Gradys. The Grady that's mentioned, Charles Grady, at the beginning of the film, who killed his children and his wife 10 years before, back in 1970. And then this Grady is Delbert Grady, who goes further back. And he's the one, clearly Victorian, with the way those girls are dressed. And even though this is the 1920s, which is what you see in the photo later, which is the last time he was there. Which maybe, I guess, the way they were dressed could have been Depression era too. So maybe in the 20s.
Yeah,
God,
and
I love Joe Turkel in this movie. He is so good as Lloyd. Such a small part, but he made it. He owned it.
He's unsettling just by being there going, just the way he says things. It's unnerving.
I need to look something up.
I got the color of the bathroom.
I always put that this is basically supposed to be like the bowels of the actual house, like almost like it's evil heart.
And because no bathroom would be made that color. That is the creepiest part of this.
Yep. Because there's definitely like a motif of this is like center of all the murder and bloodshed and everything else. It all like flows from here.
Yes, Sander, the heart, known for its digesting. No, that's another MST reference, guys. I'm sorry, I had to do it.
It's fine.
So, the sheriff in the second season was Bruce Wayne's dad in the original Batman series, which I'm not sure which one you're talking about.
The 60s one, or
no? I think
because you never meet
in the series.
Bruce Wayne's dad in the 60s.
No, I think
What?
you're talking. I think he means the '89 Batman, and I think it is the same actor. Come to think of it.
The Burton one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on IMDb right now. I'm going to go to season 2. Season 2. God damn it. Fuck you. I hate IMDb sometimes. That you'll go to click on something and then it loads and pushes it down. You end up clicking on the wrong thing.
Ain't that fun?
Just irks me the way that their page loads. It'll do it like every fucking time.
Your friend did it to mess with you because he hates you. He knows this will piss Gerry off.
So,
Let me look because I'm curious now. Talk amongst yourselves, folks.
Yeah.
As we look through IMDb.
The show's over.
Man.
The show's over. I'm doing research now for Batman. Thanks a lot. Whoever started this shit was a Slasher Fred. Probably fucking Slasher Fred. Slasher Fred.
You
started this
can
shit.
always choose not to do it.
Later.
What the hell?
Do it later.
Oh man, the Wolverine that never was.
By the way, Lizzie Kaplan, man, I have dug her ever since
yeah.
she was in that Cloverfield movie. I was like, God, she's so gorgeous.
Yeah, she is.
So he played the sheriff. I'm trying to. I don't see the sheriff's listed here. Hold on.
I mean, overall, this is probably one of the more disturbing scenes in the movie. It's a parent agreeing to murder their child, basically.
Just because annoys him.
Well, it's like, and I'll get drinks, right? Yes, of course, Mr. Torrance. We just need you to murder a few people for us.
You know how you can always tell
baby oil.
J.J. Abrams is involved with the producing of a show? Greg Grunberg is in it. It seems like Abrams is the only person who will hire him.
Could Hollywood
He's the
stop
cop
hiring
from
Abrams?
Heroes. I don't know if you heard what I said, but Grunberg is the guy who played the cop in Heroes.
Yeah.
And the new Porkins.
Slasher, and he was the new Porkins, yeah. Slasher Fred is correct. The guy who plays the sheriff, the guy who's on the phone in The Shining, is Dr. Wayne in the '89 Batman.
I thought he was talking about in Castle Rock. So I'm looking through Castle Rock, like, where the fuck is that guy? I'm not seeing him. Okay, now it's making sense. Thanks for sending me down that rabbit hole, Slasher Fred.
You're welcome.
Well, he said Wendy. So
yeah. The cop that's talking to Wendy. Yeah.
The Impossible Room. Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, the guy from.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen this guy in a lot of. I've seen a lot of these movies he's in. Yeah. In Seminoid, Silver Dream Racer. Oh yeah, Superman. Yeah. Space Precinct. Yeah. This guy's got major credits. I've seen him in a lot of stuff.
He's also, if we're talking about the same guy, Philip Stone, right? That plays Grady. Is that who you're talking about?
No, I'm still on Sloucher Fred's question.
Oh. Well, the guy Philip Stone's been in a lot of stuff too. He was in the worst Indiana Jones film in the original trilogy, Temple of Doom. He was the British major.
That previous thing, from what I understand, that the woman that's in the bathroom's also on the plane with him. Like she's supposed to be the stewardess, if I remember right.
I've heard that, and I don't know if that's true or not. I've never seen corroboration of it. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying I would like to find corroboration on whether that is her or not. Hi, Larry. This is Dick. Dick and Larry. Best jokes in the world. Dick and Larry jokes. Yo, man, is the only other black man in this movie. Are you still alive?
Yeah, that's one of those things that people accept.
You know who'd laugh at that, guys? Heath would laugh at that joke. Heath would have laughed.
He obviously loves you more than us.
Yep. No, but I on a serious note, how many movies where the black guy actually does die first in a horror movie?
Pretty much all of them in the early.
No, I'm dead serious. I've looked into it, and there's only like 4 or 5.
Because, like, The Thing,
Black guy doesn't
everybody
die first
dies in that film.
Black guy makes it to the end.
But is he? Is that really him? We don't know. You know, and people who use that lame-o fucking, there's no mist coming out of his mouth. Look, I'm going to tell you something. It was fucking cold where they shot that. There's mist coming out of his mouth. He's just lit differently. Mm-hmm. You can actually see mist come out of his mouth at the beginning of the shot where he walks up. So fuck off with that theory. Sucking people with their
No. McCready gives him a Molotov cocktail to drink. That's how he knows. No, sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm in the middle of jerking off right now.
I know.
I'll stop in a minute.
And then McCready drinks it himself.
There you go. Yeah. I know.
And clearly this kid's been abused. It's just, oh my God.
Yeah. And I mean, would there not, and that's kind of the whole point with the ending, is there not anything more terrifying than being a child and your parent is coming after you to kill you?
Yeah. And by the way, they shot that door destruction scene so many times. He was getting so fucking tired swinging that fucking axe, because he's really swinging that fucking axe. He's getting blisters. I do love this scene where she walks up and she starts like reading his book, even though he didn't give her permission.
Because that's the proof, isn't it? It's not just that he's gone crazy. It's how long he's been going crazy. Yeah. And it's great scene.
And the next scene is where Deckard airs him out.
Well, yeah.
Of course.
Yep. Sander hasn't given up on it. If Sander hasn't given up on it, I'm going to keep it going too.
See, this is actually a hidden Blade Runner sequel. We never knew it. They never said what year this took place.
It's a sequel made before Blade Runner.
Yep.
That's impossible because in this movie, no female gets killed.
Oh, the girls die. You see their bodies. What are you talking
Well, they were
about?
replicants, so yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
okay.
I
And
mean,
then this
Wendy's
is
a
a great line,
Cylon,
too.
so no.
Wendy,
The Wendy's
love
a
of my
Cylon
life.
theory.
You didn't let me finish.
I don't want to hurt you.
I'm just gonna bash your brains in. Just gonna bash him right the fuck in. It's like, oh my god.
And the way she's holding the bat is so pathetic too, because like she
Yeah.
wanted actual force.
She's
further
choked
back.
all the way up to the end of the bat.
Yeah. It's like, Wendy, I know you're scared, but the handle, you have more distance to keep
You
him.
can actually hold it further down on the bat. Yeah, he had to discipline his family, as Grady put it. Need to be disciplined. I
Is
think
You
you
discipline or
understand.
corrected?
take it to a
Corrected.
doctor.
Yeah.
I've been working for Kathleen Kennedy for 16 months. I've had it. I've fucking had it. You try writing Star Wars Episode 10. See how you keep your sanity.
You know, we have too much fun doing these shows. I'm telling you. We're half informative and half riffing. And this is a movie that doesn't deserve to be riffed because it is a great film. But
Oh no, it's like, and I agreed to watch the hotel till May the 4th, because May the 4th be with you.
oh shit, I can't see what that is. What did Sander?
A
Axes.
lot of hatchets.
Oh, hatchets.
I kind of look at it this way, Gary. You know, this movie's like 40 fucking years old. We can, if we're not riffing on it by now, I think it's okay.
Yeah, and I want to point out it is like came out in 1980, man. Shot in 79, came out in 80, and we're still talking about this movie.
Yeah,
it's that. I think it's amazing how people still talk about this. I love it when she bangs him in the hand first, because if you've ever been hit by a fucking club or a bat, you know, fuck, that hurts when it hits your hand.
Yep. Stop swinging the bat.
Yeah, she nailed his hand, and then she nails him in the head. Thanks, Curtis. I appreciate it, man.
But she failed to do the double tap.
Yeah, she should have hit him one more time and sunk that cave that forehead right in. But this is really one of the other, it's a single frame where you're on the ground looking up at him. And it's such an off-putting way to shoot the scene from the floor looking up at him as he's trying to push on the handle. And it's right when he goes, "You really hurt my head, Wendy." Right when he goes into that, he suddenly looks down right at the camera for a single frame.
Hey man, Wendy's a badass.
Well,
I
thanks,
mean,
Curtis, I appreciate it.
you know, got your spirit
again-
possessed husband, locks him in.
Mephisto points it out that they go in one walk-in and then she comes out of a different walk-in with an office next to it. It's like, it's so weird. The impossible building, you know, and the way they switch rooms on you. And again, not accidental, Martin. Everything was done. It's right here at this moment. He looks down at the camera. I tried to get a capture of it because it's a single frame and it's hard to get. It was right at that moment when it happened. And it's so disconcerting when he does it. And it hits you on a subconscious level. He's looking at me. I'm the audience. He's looking at me. He's aware of our existence in the movie. You've got a big surprise coming. Yeah, she doesn't know about the snow cat and the fucking radio yet.
And she just looks back. It's like, you fucking blared me? You fucking blared me? You dick.
Yeah, Sanders, it's Rose Red. You're not going anywhere. Yeah, because, but in Rose Red, it was more on purpose of, the rooms shifting and whatnot,
Yeah, that was the weird thing about that. I did like that.
Yeah,
I liked that.
I did. Yeah, very creepy movie.
I think Stephen King makes for better television and film than he does books. I think I will always stand by my criticism of him. Read up to the last chapter, close the book, make up your own ending. You'll be much happier. Because the only book I felt that ended right was Pet Sematary. This is a perfect ending.
I mean,
Well, I like the ending of Running Man.
That's Richard Bachman. Doesn't count.
what about the book ending for Carrie then? I mean, she just kind of keeps going, and then there's a news report instead of the movie ending.
Yeah, the movie is better ending. By the way, something else has been pointed out is the use of certain commercial brands, including Indian head labels that have Indian head on it. Right there it is. That these were put there on purpose.
I think it's more so, it's not like a central theme to the thing, but it's more along the lines of these are the different kinds of.
It is a running theme throughout the film because it was built on an ancient Indian burial ground. We know that from the book, even though they don't talk about it in the film much. It is hinted at, alluded to. And there's got to be a reason why they built it there. And it's so weird, the excuse they have for this place being there for the seclusion. Heinz is an Indian brand. That's interesting.
With that name,
it's South America. Like it's German, but Heinz was invented in South America
by a German.
Yeah,
by a German. Germerman, Ethel Merman,
like Anima, who's not here, so I. No,
just
German like Anima. German like Anima. Oh my god.
Oh my god, I'm glad she's not here right now. She'll go, fuck you, Martin.
Jack Torrance hated Indians so much, he got them removed from the butter.
Operation Paperclip.
Yep.
This is where he writes Red Rum on the door, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, he pulled out her vibrator. Oh, put it away, son. Oh,
that's an edgy vibrator.
It doesn't look like a knife. It looks like a fucking vibrator.
I'm glad to see. I'm glad to see you're mature for a 16-year-old and immature for a 60-year-old.
Oh, I told you, Josh Becker said about me one time. We're on the phone talking, and he says, well, I mean, you're funny to a point. You've got a juvenile sense of humor. I said, juvenile? Your face? I started laughing. He just got so annoyed because I responded in a very juvenile way.
All I'm saying is, if your sense of humor tries about alcohol, it may be illegal.
So wakes up mommy, got a knife in his hand. Baby, what are you doing? Red rum, red rum, red rum. And then she sees the reflection in the mirror of the word red rum backwards. Is murder. He is the odd card in this story. Danny is. Because if he had been just any average child, this just would have followed its normal cycle. But it went the other way. because he's there.
He had the shin.
You just had the shin.
He had the shinin. You mean the shining?
You want to get
Can't
sued
afford the
lad.
rights to that.
Yeah, the Scottish version would just be getting kicked in the shins repeatedly. It's like, it's the shinin. Ah,
Dude, we need a spoof version of this directed by Paul Verhoeven.
you are fucking me, Jack. You are fucking my movie.
Yeah, I know. He's always yelling that somebody's fucking him. That's like, whatever, dude. No, if he made it, he would call it what? Robo Shining.
Danny would get a machine gun at the end, and Jack Torrance would just be like vaporized in a hell of bullets.
Yeah, he'd spell murder backwards with the machine gun. Red rum, bullets.
After he spelled murder with the bullets, blood would come out of the holes.
Everything would be so over the top, ridiculous. Now, this is one of my favorite parts, even though this is clearly the facade. And by the way, I didn't tell you guys the other thing that happened in the making of this film, and it caused problems for Empire Strikes Back, was the fire. Because it burned the entire set. And they weren't done shooting. Oh, I do love the little pig, little pig. Not by the hair of my chinny chin chin.
This is the scene everyone keeps recreating in parodies and everything. And it's supposed to look like she's getting...
It's the greatest scene in it. And it's like everybody doing the same impression of the same line, and they don't do it as well. And it's like, if you can't do something better or funnier than the original, don't fucking do it. And this is a standalone scene that just nobody had ever seen anything like this. Him sticking his fucking face through there. Here's Johnny.
That was her opportunity, and she completely wasted it.
And then her scream after he says it. Here's Johnny, and she's like, ah! She goes into complete spaz mode. I got to tell you, man, she has the single best final girl fucking role in the history of final girls, because she's scared out of her fucking mind and still fucking survives this cocksucker.
She'd be an only girl.
She's not heroic. She's not heroic. No, if she's the last girl, no matter what, she's a final girl. Even if she's the only girl. Yeah, her screams in this are fucking over the top sometimes. And, you know, it's not like she has great screams, but the screams match her and they work. Unlike, you know, there are some screams from a woman that just are like Evil Dead 2, that the fucking love interest that he has, you know, after his girlfriend is murdered. You know, her screams are so fucking like annoying.
I put this up with Alien for like fear acting. For like, these are like this and Alien are the two movies you should reference if you want to pick fear.
Legitimately, you believe she is terrified in this movie. And as fucked with as she was in the making of this film, I think it was easy for her to play that part. Yeah, this is where he kills Howland. And again, he walks right by where that photo is. He's now in front of that photo.
She's a Wendy 6 model replicant.
Yeah, if you see the overlook from a certain angle, it looks like the pyramid building.
She was in a Kick Screaming Squad.
Yeah.
And Lloyd, of course, we all know who Lloyd was. He was the one behind all this.
But that's
He's
common
Tyrell of
knowledge.
this movie. He really is.
Yeah.
Nicholson,
Yes.
limping.
Walking like Roy Body.
I mean, you not see the
He's
Christ
going after
metaphor.
Deckard right now. You know, start
When
doing that
Jack's-
little rhyme he did in Blade Runner.
Yeah, when Jack starts stigmating and stuffs the nail through his hand to keep his life going for just a little bit more so he can kill.
Oh my God, I just thought of something. I would like to find a way to do this with visual effects. It won't be really good, but I swear to God, the scene where she's going through the house and she sees the ghost, the first ghost she sees is the bear going down on the butler guy.
Yeah.
And absolutely another motif. Oh, they got this all wrong. I need to find this. There we go. Now we're talking. You would get. Oh, good. I hope this is a JPEG. Save image as. Anytime. But it's JPEG.
It seems you do not think our hotel is a benefit to the public.
How many fucking things can we do here? Because when she sees the bear pop its head up from going down on the guy, this is the bear. Napoleon Bear.
Oh my God.
Good evening, JF. Go brush your teeth.
Home again, jiggity jig. So, and now, of course, he's running through the maze. That makes him a maze runner.
Mason.
Are we driving off the audience yet? No, we still have 35 actors watching us right now. Aren't you the good man? You better get it up. I'm going to have to kill you.
Aren't you the shiny
What we should
man?
do is like put the Blade Runner dialogue over this fucking movie. Like this scene is at the when he goes into JF Sebastian's apartment with all the toys. See all the skeletons and shit? They're toys.
Why do you have
toys.
so many?
I make
Why do you have
toys. Toys are my friends.
Why do you have so many ghosts? I make them.
Now this is great. I love this because he starts backtracking over his own footprints in this scene. That's pure Kubrick. That's not from anything from Stephen King.
No, this whole ending, like, isn't the book
Completely
ending
different, yeah. Because
Jack
in the
blows
end,
up the
the
hotel.
dad, Jack actually intentionally forgets to take care of the boiler, and once the ghosts realize it, it's too late.
It's probably why.
Yeah, I know. That's half the reason why these jokes started is because of Joe Turkel.
Yeah. Even in death, he brings us entertainment.
Because I like that when you said you seem to think our hotel is not a benefit
To the public.
to the public, right? No, there are Sanders. I'm telling you, man. There are so many connections, and of course, the greatest connection to this film with Blade Runner is the fact that, and he didn't charge him. Somebody asked how much did he charge. Kubrick didn't charge him anything to use the footage. It was unused footage. He just gave it to him to use for the end of Blade Runner, the theatrical cut. Very
Does-
much so, Sander. Very much so. They die sitting up.
Does ever Lloyd said, "Indulge me"
No,
in the bar?
but I wish.
No?
You should like we could just take lines from that movie and start like dubbing it into this movie. It'd be funny as hell.
Oh, use the AI thing. So we have them say the overlooked versions of everything. More alcoholic.
Yeah, that joke was made earlier, Sander. But the funny part is, this movie came out first, so it's the sequel made before the other film, which makes
So
no
these
sense.
replicants are all Nexus 5.
These are all Nexus 5.
Oh no, see, it's a loop. This goes into the past, but the ending of Blade Runner goes back into this movie. So it's a cycle.
And what you would do, you would put Jack Nicholson like Ash screaming, "No, no!"
I just changed
I
the
slept too long.
the picture at the
Mobius
end
loop.
is Tyrell Corp Executive Party 1921.
So he freezes to death,
As one
And
does.
and we
Does
see
he?
the body sitting there. He's frozen, snot frozen icicles, snot sickles. And then we cut to this where we slowly approach the wall and we see the photo, which has, you walk past it. And here's the funny thing. Some of these photos are repeats that are on the other wall too. But there he is. And of course, I'll bring this up again. It's so interesting, this shot, because this is the guy in the original photo from 1921. Okay. And they did an amazing job of, because they didn't have Photoshop when this movie was made. This is, 11 years before Photoshop was invented, because it was invented in the early 90s by members of Industrial Light and Magic. And so they got this photo of him in there perfectly. But the cool part to me is when you look further back and you see what pose he's in, that is the pose of Baphomet, which is the two fingers in the air and the two fingers pointing downward, as above, so below. And I think it's weird that the Caduceus rod comes up right from its crotch. I'm like, that's like really weird. So, and again, the symbolism there is wackadoodle.
He also has the guy who was in Lolita, if you pull back a bit, I think it's the bottom left one.
In the photo?
One of the photos, yeah. No, I'm talking about, there's multiple photos. I'm talking about before it zooms in on that one. The photo that's like to the bottom left of it is the guy who was in Lolita, if I remember right. Like
Now,
he
I'm
put a
gonna tell
little
you
cameo
something.
of his own guy.
I know a lot of people in this photo look like they're having a good time, but I know that there's one person that was pissed after this photo. That chick on the left there.
Yeah,
She's
she
like,
looks
oh,
scared.
yeah, I blinked. I do it again. It's like, we only have one flash.
I've killed things you people wouldn't believe. Attacked hotel clerks and fire up the shore
And again,
of Orion.
The bear that was given the blowjob is Napoleon Bear.
I saw bears
James
give
Mason.
blowjobs.
Hello, I'm James Mason. How do you do my voice? Well, you do a posh English accent and then hold it like you're trying not to poop.
All these moments will be lost, like Jack in the maze.
Just a happy movie. Just so happy.
It's a family movie.
Yeah, most family scene. There we go. Family friendly scene right there. I always love the running of that big wheel, man. I just fucking love this, following that thing, the steady cam.
Dude, he must have had so much fun as a kid with that. Okay, just stay on your tricycle. We'll follow behind you.
Is it a race? No, you winning. You win. We're following you.
What should I do? Go crazy, kid.
Have fun. Just remember, no one's trying to kill you. Yeah.
What?
Oh, that's right. I read that Mason did, because he was shooting. What was he shooting? He was shooting something at the same time, and he popped in on the set there. I love that when like movie stars show up on a set of something else, because Roger Moore did that once. Popped into the set of something else because he was shooting at the same time at Elstree Studios.
Yeah, and there's and the narration at the end of the movie, and that's why you don't make out with ghosts.
Yeah, that's the moral of the story. She apparently had all over herpes. It was like everywhere on her. Those sores everywhere on her body.
Oh, it's a great setup and payoff. It's like beautiful. What the fuck? Or as Gerry puts it, oh yeah, that's what happened with my ex-wife.
Things happen, man. So I don't know, man. I guess we can wrap the show up. That was fun. I love talking about it. This is one of my favorite, and I don't consider this a horror film. I really don't.
Psychological thriller. That's what I refer to this movie.
It's a psychological thriller. Is really what it is. The
With
horror
ghosts.
aspects of it is are they ghosts? You know, it's like you know, because we talk about this in real life, because like somebody asked me if I believe in ghosts. I said I believe in residual hauntings. Although if intelligent hauntings do exist, I have proof they're intelligent, that there's no such thing as a haunted mobile home.
Oh, by the way, Martin, if you play the thing I linked in private chat, it's Kubrick actually talking about with the ending with the Japanese reporter.
Okay. I'm looking.
Well,
on
he has
IMDb
an
here.
association with Stanley Kubrick because he was in, he played Humbert, whatever his fucking middle initial was, in Lolita.
Yeah.
Which was a film ahead of its time, but that poor girl had so many problems after that movie.
People talk about like what, a Lolita curse or some shit like that. It's like just sometimes bad things happen to people after they do something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Question here. Do you want me to show this in this video?
What?
It says Stanley Kubrick explains the ending of 2001 and The Shining.
As long as it doesn't have music that we got to worry about, go for it.
I don't know.
It's when the guy's talking on the phone, like just start from there on it. Because, like, case in point, you said he never flew. Yeah, this Japanese person got interviewed with him, but he only would do it over the phone. He wouldn't come to Japan. But they did, like, interview her daughter. It's a really cool documentary.
Okay, give me a second.
Sorry, are you pulling it up? What are you doing?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That was Murder by Decree, by the way, that Mason was filming at the same time, and he showed up to the set of The Shining in costume as Watson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I do want to point this out, that this is me praying that Martin brings this video up.
Oh, you are so big. Oh, absolutely huge. Gosh, we're all really impressed down here, I can tell you.
Play it. Just go like 10 seconds in, because it just basically, yeah.
Yes, I certainly shall.
And of course.
Hello? Stanley? Been looking for you. Can you talk now? Do you have a moment? Now is the time. Hold on a second. Let me pass you on to Mr. Yara, the producer, who's standing with me now. Is he ready now? Yes, he's ready. Just 1 second.
Hello, Mr. Kubrick. How do you do, sir? My name is Lloyd. Can I ask you some questions?
Okay. Let me give a tactical pause.
Please. Well,
Can you make sure it's turned up?
Love your films, especially
Can I what?
Because we can hear the Irish guy on the phone. We can't hear Kubrick.
I don't know.
Volume
check
is
the volume.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go up a little bit more. There we go.
Space Travel 2001. And but people are wondering that what is the meaning of last scene? The old man were lying on a bed in a very old style house. And could you give us an answer?
I've tried to avoid doing this ever since the picture came out because when you just say the ideas, they sound foolish, whereas if they're dramatized, one feels it. But I'll try. I mean, the idea was supposed to be that he is taken in by godlike entities, creatures of pure energy and intelligence with no shape or form, and they put him in what I suppose you could describe as a human zoo, and to study him, and he spends his whole life passes from that point on in that room. And
Would have been better if I said, I don't know, man. I was high as a kite.
he has no sense of time. It just seems to happen as it does in the film. And they choose this room, which is a very inaccurate replica of French architecture, deliberately so inaccurate, because one was suggesting that they had some idea of something that he might think was pretty, but weren't quite sure, just as we aren't quite sure what to do in zoos with animals. To try.
Okay, another little pause.
Try to give them what we think is their natural, environment. And anyway, when they get finished with him, as happens in so many myths of all cultures in the world, he is transformed into some kind of super being and sent back to Earth. Transformed and made, into some sort of Superman. And we have to only guess what happens when he goes back. It is the pattern of a great deal of mythology, and that was what we were trying to suggest.
I see. Could I ask you the same question about the Shining, the last scene of Shining? You showed the picture, and
did you have? I told Julian to ask you. Did you have any difficulty recognizing Jack Nicholson?
No, not me.
No.
We could find Jack Nicholson, but
you weren't sure what it was supposed to mean.
Right.
Well, it was supposed to suggest a kind of evil reincarnation cycle, where he is part of the hotel's history, just as in the men's room when he's talking to the former caretaker, ghost of the former caretaker, who says to him, you are the caretaker, you have always been the caretaker. I should know, I've always been here. One is merely suggesting some kind of endless cycle of this evil reincarnation, and also, well, that's it. I
Okay.
Yep. I thought you'd like that.
Again, I'm here explaining it. No, I was right. It's exactly what I've interpreted it as. Is the cycle of violence keeps reincarnating because the violence itself, the evil that brings that kind of violence, lives in that fucking place. It's in the very blood of this place, hence the blood coming out of the elevator. I love that. I really
Do
do.
you think that?
I don't like the book.
Maybe some of the self deletions that occur in the hotel were in fact carried out by the caretaker and make them look like a self deletion.
I don't know. I don't know if it's important.
It doesn't give you a 1902 this murder happened, 1903 this one happened. It's just showing that this entire hotel has a history of death over and over again. That's what Wendy sees near
it's repeated by the same people over and over again.
Yep.
They're trapped in a cycle
of violence, which spawned from this hotel and spawned from the kind of people that went in and killed those Native Americans and set up the overlooked hotel as their little get together.
Yeah, because you kind of get that kind of feeling that it just seemed just the explanation of the existence of this hotel. Isn't this a great place for a resort where you can have skiing? It's like it's not why this place was created. It's created really for the seclusion. Well, the only people I know in this world that want to get away from society are doing it so they can't be seen doing something. It's like, I hate to be Sherlock Holmes in this, but that line he delivered to Watson on the train heading out to figure out the mystery of the copper beaches. He says, "I envy you, Watson. You see beautiful countryside, sprawling land, and all I see is a place where more hidden horrors and evil than in any alley in London." It's like, oh fuck, man. That's when I read that as a kid, I was like, oh my god, that changed me reading that line.
Yeah, no, and this is, to me, is the weird thing, because this is the interpretation I have a lot with the movie, is that it's overall about the type of violence and all the hidden stuff of the high end, the top 1%, the whichever people were in charge and running everything, they would go to these kinds of places and they do horrible, messed up shit. And that's
where you get
cycle
these
of violence.
Cultish groups that do these weird rich people in their fucking cults. Yeah, that's all I got to say. All right, I'm going to wrap this thing up now, guys. So let me do this, and then I'm going to do this. Oh, there's the magic mirror. Romper, stomper, bumper, do. Tell me who. Anybody who grew up in America in the 80s knows what I'm doing. Let's see. We got six. I see six. I see the comic relief crusader, Mike. I see Snortopupus, Cuba. I see Emmanuel and her husband, Regis. I see Just Another Red Shirt. I see Words and Pictures, Slasher Fred. I see you. Fluff Chicken Productions. I see you. Andy Morrow. Bronson Right Wolf and Bronson Left Wolf. I don't know. Right Wolf. It's not spelled that way, but anyway. Not Brian. If you're not Brian, then who the hell are you? Outlaw Bill is here, dropped in, say hi to us. And of course, Sam O'Keefe, director, cinematographer dude I've been following for a while, dropped in, which was really nice. He's never dropped in before. So the Peter Venkman fan site, Venkman's Girl. Adam McGrath, Dragon Ruse, Mephisto was here. It was really good seeing him. Sandra Hammer Slag. I love that name, Sandra Hammer Slag. Sounds like a fucking beer, right? Like a beer that'll rip your head open. You don't want to drink that. That's hammer slag. It'll rip your head out. Rod Thunderheart, good friend. John Roberts. Real Wade was here. Wade was here. Good to see you. Awesome one. Big Al. I saw you when you came in, buddy. Curtis Selby. And it looks like that's it. And then, of course, our panel here was none other than my good buddies, Shinatsky, and my other buddy, Stephen, a.k.a. Deleted Scenes. It's good to see you guys. So I'll bring me back down to normal so you guys can get back on stream. And, of course, Martin was our producer. Martin enjoyed it. Martin enjoyed himself so much today, he forgot to do his job.
That's exactly what happened.
I know what happened. You got so caught up in what was going on. You're like, oh, shit, I'm supposed to put the movie on.
That was me, Jack Torrance, ex-hotel caretaker.
Detective. So that's it, guys. Thanks for being here, man. It was fun talking about this movie. It is on my top 10 favorite films of all time. Not the top 5, but it is in my top 10. Yes, Vinkman's Girl, thank you so much. Chop that like button and into bite-sized pieces. And don't forget to leave a comment. And make sure that if you do subscribe to us, that you always check that bell selection, because people do get unselected on that. And I've seen it happen. Penny was one of the first ones to tell me about it. So deeply appreciate everybody hanging out with us. We love you guys. It's always great to hang out. I wish the folks on Twitter would be able to talk to us more, because just don't get much communication with our audience on Twitter for some reason. And we hardly have anybody ever watching on Rumble. And I got to do something to change that. Because we do not focus a lot of energy onto it, and we really need to. We should have grown more on Rumble. We just don't focus on it.
We should do some shows exclusively on Rumble and go wild without censorship.
Well, we've also talked about doing watch. What do you call them?
Watch party.
Watch parties, where we can actually watch movies together while we broadcast. And Rumble would be probably where we do that, but we could still do it on here, because we would actually be doing the sharing the screen over on Discord, so people can watch there. Hammer blow is what my name means roughly in English, although back in the day I had the nicknames Sledgehammer.
Why don't you call my name?
If you know that song by Peter Gabriel, it's about fucking. Don't tell anybody.
The hammer is his penis.
That's what it is. It's penis. Or the TV show Sledgehammer, which is the weirdest fucking cop comedy I've ever seen in my life. I didn't laugh at anything on that show, but I enjoyed it. It's like, you ever watch something that's supposed to be funny, but it's not funny, but you just still enjoy it? That's what that show was for me. I didn't find any of it funny. I just enjoyed it. I was entertained. Well, it was around that time of that song. There you go. 1983. 1983. I remember when that album came out.
Yeah, so
and,
Gerry.
So what?
The album. It's called So. Peter Gabriel.
Yeah, but the way you said it sounded like you were saying something. So anyway, yes, So. It was the first album that had a name by Peter Gabriel. All of his other ones had nicknames like Blur and Scratch and Mask. 80s. I thought it was 83 when that came out. Oh, wait. I'm thinking of Dream of the Blue Turtles.
Well, you like turtles.
86. I need to look that up. 1986. I was already divorced by the time that came out. That's weird.
I like turtles.
I like turtles. I got a message from Anima. I can't tell you what the message is because We have a super
Yes,
cool thing that's going to be happening on Monday. So
it's a couple
anybody
things
who's
we don't
interested
need
in
to know.
finding out the mystery, find out what this mystery is, you will find out on Monday morning. So you can join us on Monday and find out what the mystery is. So
Did she capture a kangaroo?
oh, Lady Mist is here. Hi. We are heading out now. Tree Rock Creations pops in at the last second. I missed a great SJW game last night. Social Justice Warrior game? What the fuck did they do?
Dude, the game John is playing the last the final season of The Walking Dead. It's crap. It went woke.
I stopped watching it. I don't know why.
It went woke.
What happened to that show, man? Because like Fear the Walking Dead got good.
No. The video game that John is
the video
playing.
game.
I mean,
oh, it did.
Oh.
yes, it's got boring, ultra boring, and then woke.
Yeah, it's like they're just walking around having bad dreams. Okay.
The Walking Dead.
They introduce a new game mechanic in which you look at the star and draw your own constellation. You know, what the fuck is this?
I'm telling you, man. Look, I don't want to get on a rant, but I got to say something about the way they do that in movies.